I'm Warren Sprouse. This is the Bible Forum. We're here every Sunday night from 8 to 10 p.m. We do it just for you. We look at life through a biblical lens. We've been looking at the political scenery tonight. This is the Sunday after the Republican National Convention and the Sunday night just prior to the Democrat National Convention. We have a vice presidential or presumptive vice presidential candidate on the Democrat side. His name is Tim Kaine. And I thought that in light of what we have done with the other candidates, looking at the faith facts in their life, that it might be good to take a moment and look at this fella. Tim Kaine is a Roman Catholic. He is Hillary's pick for vice president. And there are 5 faith facts that we look at, and we're going to look at his. Number 1 faith fact is that he was taught by Jesuits. You do know what Jesuits are, right? The Pope is a Jesuit. They are the military, I guess. Some would say a little bit harsher than that, of the Catholic Church. He was raised in Missouri by Catholic parents who were devout. He told C-SPAN a while back that if we got back from a vacation on Sunday night at 7:30, his parents would know the one church in Kansas City that had an 8 o'clock mass that they could get to. That's how devout they were. He attended an all-boys Jesuit high school in Kansas City, worked for a year with Jesuit missionaries in Honduras. That's where he learned Spanish. He also learned welding, his father's trade, and carpentry. He and his wife attend St. Elizabeth Catholic Church in Richmond, Virginia. It has a predominantly African American congregation. He has co-founded a men's study group there. Tim Kaine says he separates the personal from the political. This man is personally against abortion and the death penalty, and has sometimes spoken against same-sex marriage and gay adoption, all of which aligns with Catholic teaching. But he has taken different stances in his political life. He has upheld Roe v. Wade, and he told Chuck Todd on Meet the Press, quote, "I have taken the position which is quite common among Catholics. I have a personal feeling about abortion. But the right rule for government is to let women make their own decisions." The question asked would be, is this true about all aspects of American life? And if so, then what are the laws for? What are they about? Law is for protection. Laws are passed to protect us from ourselves, as well as external harm, to protect us from destructive choices that would impact us and society at large. He illustrated by saying that as Virginia's governor, he oversaw 11 state executions, but he has a moral position against the death penalty. However, I took an oath of office to uphold the law. Following an oath of office is also a moral obligation. This puts him in the classic conundrum of when does our responsibility override our faith? If you understood what the Bible taught, you would have a definitive answer, and the answer would be never. God does not ask us to make these choices. He declares what's right, what's good, what's productive, what's protective. And he requires that we live by those things. And capital punishment is one of them. And not killing innocent babies is another. And the argument is, well, it's not really a baby yet. It's not a dog. Excuse me. Kaine was fairly late to supporting same-sex marriage, saying in 2013, "I believe all people, regardless of sexual orientation, should be guaranteed the full rights to the legal benefits and responsibilities of marriage under the Constitution." A little side note is that this runs contrary to the Bible. It also runs contrary to Roman Catholic doctrine. A devout Catholic. And while Kaine opposed gay adoption in 2005, also in line with Catholic Church teaching, by 2012 he had reversed that position. Tim Kaine is very flexible in his moral choices. Thirdly, he favors allowing women to become priests. There are not enough time or enough words to explain how inconsistent that is. But he cites the fact that Pope Francis visited Washington in September of last year, and before the speech that he gave, he issued a statement. He said, "If women are not accorded equal place in the leadership of the Catholic Church and the other great world religions, they will always be treated as inferiors in earthly matters as well." There is nothing this Pope could do that would improve the world as much as putting the church on a path to ordain women. Even if the church and the Bible forbid it? Kaine is a fan of Pope Francis' declaration, Laudato Si. Now, not all Catholics thought the Pope should write an encyclical on a secular issue such as global warming, but Tim Kaine agrees with Francis' framing of the issue as one of faith. "I'm sure he's not going to opine," Kaine said, "on whether a carbon tax is better than a cap-and-trade mechanism. That doesn't need to be where he goes. But to say, you guys and everybody in power these days, you've got the next generation's future in your hands, and you don't want to have to face that question later in life. With the science what it is, and with you having the opportunity to do something about it, why did you choose not to?" Well, the reality here is that the science isn't exactly there. This is why the label changed from global warming to climate change, a more comprehensive an encompassing phrase. And why would a world religious leader feel the need to opine in this area unless he was political? The reality here is that if you as a private citizen, if you as an individual company, if you want to believe this, or you do believe this, and you want to create alternative sources of energy and so forth, do it. Let the market drive it. But the reality is the market is not driving it. The alternative energy inventions, if you will, are not panning out to be as all inclusive or profitable, good, whatever you want to call it, as promised. It isn't that this is wrong to do. In fact, it's a very good thing to do. Clean, renewable energy is a wonderful idea. Let the market do it. These guys have come along to institute it by divine fiat almost, and the Pope standing up for it does just that. Number 5, Tim Kaine speaks openly about his faith, saying, "My faith is central to everything I do." Well, except in the areas of marriage, capital punishment, abortion. He says, "My faith position is a good Samaritan position of trying to watch out for the other person." As governor, he signed laws not just to watch out for the other person, but to impose his will upon other persons. Some of them unborn. But others maybe not wanting to go along with some of these issues that aren't all that clear. In a recent C-SPAN interview, he says, "I do what I do for spiritual reasons. I'm always thinking about the momentary reality, but also how it connects with the bigger matters of what's important in life." Again, except the moral areas of marriage, capital punishment, abortion. Why does he not see the hypocrisy? Because he's an ideologue. Tim Kaine is probably a really nice guy. He's probably what any Catholic would call devout. But he's a politician first. He's looking at life from that other end, as it were, of the issue. He really believes in making people happier, even if it means doing it against their will. And he's latched on to some of these social issues, thinking that he's got them neatly tucked away in his faith system, but he doesn't. His church stands against all of these things. It ought to be interesting when we come to some of the interviews later down the road.